The two main things that contributed to girlset's position are their slow start and their lack of social media presence. So we all agree that VCHA is completely untalented. I mean, let's look at the facts. They opened for twice in Mexico City, and they performed on like Korean music shows and stuff. So the only reason why they wouldn't be popular now is if they just sucked. Katseye was able to gain popularity, so why couldn't they? Well, things aren't as simple as that. Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to better understand why girlset and Katseye are where they are culturally and on the chart. Google has taken to calling 2025 the year of Katseye, so I'm guessing you already know who they are. However, in girlset's case, they're recently just hopping back onto the scene after a few years of scandal, hiatus, and controversy. But how did it get to this point? Let's rewind a bit. A2K was JYP's venture into the American music market and trying to make an American girl group under the K-pop training system. Quiet as it kept, the K-pop training system is low-key the American training system for Motown, but that's a whole nother conversation. After holding in-person auditions around the United States, JYP narrowed down the contestants to a select group that were then sent to LA to do a boot camp. While training in LA, the girls did a variety of activities to showcase their skills in star quality, dance, vocal. From there on, some of the girls then went to Korea, where they worked on original songs and also performed in small groups in order to narrow down who would be the final girls in the group. While this process was recorded and shared with the public through A2K, fans had no input on who would make it into the group. Additionally, the editing style that they chose for A2K was much more in line with what they would choose for a traditional Korean show. At the end of the program, VCHA debuted as a 6-member group with a bright and fresh, encouraging concept. This youthful concept felt a little bit young, but definitely age appropriate given that the youngest member to debut was, I believe, about 13 at the time. It felt really aligned with cute concepts that we regularly see in K-pop groups. However, it sort of fell flat with the American audience. The unfortunate thing is, I think America just wants something sexy and sultry and mysterious, which doesn't make sense for a group of like young teenagers. After debuting in 2023, one member actually left the group in 2024, and this was the same year that they were set to perform at Lollapalooza for the first time, which could have been a really big breakout moment for them. I, for one, was like really excited because that would have motivated me to actually go to the festival to see those girls perform, but they had to call it off because members were leaving the group and they were in shambles. KG was the one who left at that time and actually had a lawsuit citing a lot of mistreatment and abuses that were allegedly done while she was under JYP Entertainment. Another member, Kaylee, left in 2025 and is now making her own solo music, and she left through a mutual contract termination. So I don't think as many details are out about that. At this point, VCHA was now a 4-member group. The remaining members are still under JYP, and they have since rebanded as girlset. Katseye debuted in 2024, a year later, with a similar concept. I wouldn't describe their first singles or first EP as anywhere near sultry. It was still relatively age appropriate for the girls' relatively young ages, though they were older teenagers. Rather than just being plain cutesy, Katseye's introduction into the musical world had more of a cool girl, unique, different vibe to it, though they still try to appeal to a wide audience. Katseye is also a group that was formed on a survival competition show. However, in the case of Dream Academy, fan input did have an impact on who ended up in the group. Additionally, this group actually had more of a global representation, whereas A2K was just America to Korea. Dream Academy sought participants from around the world, and while, in my opinion, I would have loved to see the final group have more regions represented, there is a lot of ethnic diversity within Katseye as a group. So I feel like it's fair to still label them as a global group. Now on to the key differences that made VCHA flop, respectfully, and Katseye soar, respectfully. The two main things that contributed to girlset's position are their slow start and their lack of social media presence. If you're interested in more analysis videos like this, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. In contrast, Katseye was able to pivot quickly with their concept and leverage social media in a way that authentically showed the girls' personalities. VCHA had a slow start despite releasing music soon after the show ended because they didn't target a necessarily profitable or large market. From the perspective of JYP Entertainment and American Records, whatever they're called, the American label that they worked with, from their perspective, if you're going to make an American girl group, it would make more sense to make it more catered towards Americans. If you want to make cutesy music as an American girl group, an American artist, then you have to funnel it through the right channels. You're competing in such a large pop landscape against Tate McRae and Olivia Rodrigo and all these other people who make music that appeal to the masses, all these other female artists. You're competing against them. You can't be singing Wheels on the Bus. It's not going to work. I say this as somebody who really was jamming There's One YOU in the Universe. Period. Okay, I know I know my stuff. If JYP Entertainment was able to leverage some of the previous connections that they have from other times their artists have been in America, maybe there could have been a more focused promotion and release of VCHA's music to the American market, focusing on channels like Nickelodeon or Disney Channel, because if kids like your music, they're going to play TF out of it. Have you heard of K-pop Demon Hunters? That went triple platinum because it was in a kids movie with a good story and kids love it. Let it go. As long as you get kids onto something, it will do well. I think JYP Entertainment putting them as the opener for Twice was a good decision, especially because Twice had a cutesy concept to start with, but by the time VCHA debuted, Twice was already transitioning into a more mature presence because the members were aging and it didn't really make sense for them to only be doing Aegyo. Like, I'm 32 years old. None of the members of Twice are 32 years old, but you get the point. Twice! Because of that slight market difference, I don't know how many fans were converted into VCHA fans by VCHA's presence on that Mexico City stage, but I think it was a learning experience for the girls, so I'm glad they were able to get that opportunity. VCHA went on to have a comeback where they sung their song Only One. That low-key went triple platinum in my household. I love it. I think in comparison to YO Universe, Only One was a little bit more mature, but it was still teeny and poppy and fun, and I think it was more appealing to a wider audience in comparison to the pure positivity and brightness of YO Universe. I think part of it was a strategic difficulty and personal group dynamic difficulty that prevented them from building on the momentum of people really vibing with Only One, but it's hard to tell. Another key factor that prevented VCHA from being as successful as they could be is their social media presence, or lack thereof. The posts are now lost to time because they archive or deleted everything when VCHA stopped being VCHA and before it became girlset, all the posts were gone. However, when they were making posts as VCHA, the company's social media strategy did not make sense for where they were as a group. It is my belief that the posts that they were making at the time felt more curated and company approved versions of the girls' personalities, and they didn't have that thread of authenticity that connects the viewer to the person in the video. And this is a social media strategy that can work, and it definitely works for a lot of K-pop idols. But in the case of the K-pop idols under JYP Entertainment, they already have a fan base. They already have people who have bought in. So when those people who have already bought in are watching the video, they are already feeling an affinity towards them, and it's just reinforcing the positive feelings and the feeling of fandom that those people have. However, the content that they were making for VCHA was not the best content to reel new fans in. In comparison, Katseye's strategy low-key showed that Hybe's Geffen or somebody was tapped in. Katseye hopped on a variety of comedic trends that allowed people to see their personality and get to know them as young girls and feel like they were relatable. Additionally, they did a variety of dance trends that showed their skills and made people want to see more of their performances, especially because in the American market, really good dancers and really good performers are honestly lacking because a lot of our celebrities, singers, do not have the dance training in order to make such impressive moves on stage. It's usually just a little 1 2 1 2, and you get your 1 2 off and you look good, but it is really impressive when somebody can really do a solid 48 count, not just an 8 count, a 48 count. And I think this strategy could be leveraged by girlset as well. I would love to see more of their personalities. We got to see their personalities on A2K, but I don't think that is the truest part of them, in the sense that they knew that they were competing. They knew they were on a competition show, and they didn't seem desperate or thirsty, but they didn't seem relaxed either. I would love to see those girls relaxed and comfortable in their position as artists and show the true side of themselves that make people want to connect with them through social media. And girlset is leaning into it a bit more now. I think only time will tell, since they just recently came back to the scene after a long hiatus. But at the end of the day, the difference in levels of success right now has nothing to do with levels of talent. Honestly, personally, if those allegations of severe mistreatment and potential abuse even have a modicum of truth to them, I'm glad that VCHA was able to go on a hiatus, because I would hate for the girls who were still there to have to pretend like nothing's happening and, oh, I'm just filming a silly TikTok while serious things are going on in the background. I hope this reban is able to give the girls more agency and make them feel more empowered to have more control over their careers. And if they need to walk away, I hope they walk away and do what's best for their health and for their careers. I don't know what the future holds for Katseye or girlset, but I am so excited to see it because I love music. Alright, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know what other kinds of videos you would like to see in the comments. I have a lot of interest and I can talk a lot, so I'm excited. Bye!